Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
What's up, NBA fans? Welcome to another edition of The Outlet. With me, as always, Parth.
What's up, Nick?
Getting ready for these rankings, Parth. Today we got number 23, the Charlotte Hornets. So another tough season for the Hornet fans. Even though they had a nice rebranding, things didn't work out. Here's a clip from last season.
Henderson switch places. This is a good depth on this line. The wing spots. Here's Lance. Nice ball handled through the defense, but it's going to be last touch by Henderson.
Yeah, nice pass there, Lance Stevenson. You passed it all the way to Los Angeles.
Yeah, that was a great pass. No wonder Lance is in a different team right now. But it's not the first time this has happened in Charlotte. So here's another clip.
Henderson, shot clock at 10. Henderson pull up.
The best part is Gerald Henderson is involved in both plays.
Oh, poor Gerald Henderson. And
good thing he's out of Charlotte too.
Exactly.
Dude, it must be rough going to a Hornets basketball game and sitting in the front row. You have to keep your eye on the action because you never know. You might end up with a concussion on the way home.
Real possibility. Hornets basketball must be tough to watch.
When I see that clip, I think of the trailer for the new Will Smith concussion movie where he's like, "Tell the truth. Tell the truth." Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it because I heard the NFL's not too happy about it.
Yeah, definitely have to watch that.
Well, let's get into this ranking. You think this is a fair ranking for the Hornets?
At 23, it's I don't know if it's fair, but it's definitely fitting since Michael is their owner. But I don't know. They had kind of an up and down offseason. 2 years ago, they made some strides, made the playoffs. They ran into the Heat, but they were supposed to build on that last season. Didn't really do that, and so I don't know where they'll be. I think as we talk more about their offseason moves, I think you'll understand why I'm a little iffy with 23.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of turnover. I think they didn't address a ton of needs. They made some pretty nice moves. They did upgrade some positions, but other parts they still have improvements to make. But let's get into their key returners. They got Kemba Walker coming back, Al Jefferson, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Zeller, Marvin Williams. Who do you think needs to have a big season?
Well, I think Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, after signing that $52 million extension, he needs to really show up offensively. We know he's a good defensive player, even though LeBron had his career high on him. And I think on the same year, Melo did too. But he's a lengthy defender at the 3 spot, and could be their shutdown wing defender. So he needs to add shooting to his game for this team to really succeed this upcoming season.
He needs to add to the offensive game. He started to change around the shot mechanics, which is great. But I would like to see him work that way out. He's working on his mid-range game. It wasn't too bad last season, but he really needs that 3-ball to help with the spacing. I love his defense. And Charlotte seems to be invested in him with that extension he signed this offseason.
It's weird that Charlotte has so many picks that haven't really panned out. For example, Marvin Williams returns, and he was the number 2 pick way back when. Never really lived up to that hype. Kidd-Gilchrist was picked after Anthony Davis, number 2, and he hasn't lived up to his number 2 billing. And then Cody Zeller, I think, was number 4 a couple of years ago, and he hasn't really taken off the way Charlotte would have wanted him to. So they need to do better with their drafts.
Oh, and better player development, it looks like.
Right.
And I think even before that, they had DJ Augustine, Sean May, way back when they were the Charlotte Bobcats. So
right.
The draft has not been nice to them.
Yeah, I mean they didn't draft Marvin Williams. Atlanta did, but still,
yeah,
it's just ironic that he would be on their team along with the other draft picks that haven't really panned out to where they were selected.
One other guy I think needs to have a big season. Kemba just took strides last year, but I think he needs to keep adding to his game. They really need him to be an NBA All-Star just because they lack, I think, offensive weapons.
Right. Their one real weapon is Al Jefferson in the post. He's a monster in there. The crazy thing is he only shoots with his right hand, and you know it's coming, but he's just really good at getting a shot off. He has a lot of touch. He's their one real offensive weapon, but like you said, Kemba needs to be much better on the perimeter as a playmaker, as a scorer, and he needs to play to that all-star level, like you said.
Yeah, so look for big season. And Al Jefferson, like you're right, he's been dominant in the post. You know it's coming. He still works it down. Only thing about Al, we just got to worry about his health because tends to miss games. But on to the offseason moves. Hornets made quite a few moves. They had some nice additions, some departures. They added Batum, Jeremy Lin, Spencer Hawes. What moves do you like? Oh, they drafted Frank the Tank.
What moves I like? I like the Jeremy Lin pickup, to be honest.
And
and don't laugh when I say that, please. But I think he provides a solid option off the bench. And I don't think he got paid too much. I think he got a fair deal. He didn't get like the deal the Rockets gave him. So I think he got a fair deal. I also like the Jeremy Lamb pickup. He was also a Houston Rocket before, went to OKC, didn't really work out there off the bench, but I think he could bring off the bench shooting and scoring, which his team really, really needs.
yeah, I actually don't mind the Lin pick either. They lost Mo Williams, so they definitely needed a backup guard that could probably bring a little bit of scoring. And then Jeremy Lamb, yeah, this will be a big year for him. I think he'll have a chance to showcase his skills, and we'll figure out if he's an NBA role player or not. What about moves you didn't like?
I wasn't quite sure of the Nicholas Batum trade. I know they moved Vonleh, and who else did they move? They moved Gerald Henderson to Portland for Nick Batum, and I believe he's an expiring deal, so next summer he'll be a free agent. So it remains to be seen if he's in their long-term plans or if that was just to get out of Vonleh and Henderson's deals. I'm not sure what they're doing there because they do have Kid Gilchrist, who they just signed to an extension. So unless they're planning on playing Batum at the 2 and Gilchrist at the 3, I'm a little confused at that signing. And then
Yeah.
I also don't like losing Noah Vonleh, like I mentioned in that trade. Young player, I think he was hurt a lot last season as a rookie, and so I know Portland's really high on him. So losing him for maybe just a rental year with Batum kind of hurts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that because I mean they pick up a Batum who I really like. I think he's a nice player, but like you said, they have Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Are they going to start both of them because they'll have spacing issues? And then they kind of give up on Noah a little bit early. He didn't really get a chance to shine. He didn't get the minutes to showcase his skills. So he could turn out to be a nice player in Portland, and they could end up with nothing in the trade because Batum could be on the way out if he feels it's not a good fit.
And it just goes back to how Charlotte hasn't drafted well. They gave up on Vonleh after one season. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And then this year, I mean, they draft Frank the Tank, who could be a good prospect, but Boston offered him 4 picks. I mean, 4 first-round picks. That's a lot of picks right there. Like we've mentioned off the podcast, that's enough to probably trade for a big-time NBA player.
Right.
So
MJ wants who MJ wants.
Yeah, I thought that was just a little bit stubborn because that'll overshadow Frank the rest of his career pretty much.
Right. One thing I found interesting was one of our writers, Kyle, who wrote a awesome piece about Charlotte's offseason. He was a little confused about their moves, and he included that Frank Kaminsky trade that didn't happen with Boston. And he kind of talked about how Charlotte's in that no man's land in the NBA where they're not great, they're kind of good, but they're not terrible. So they're in that like
8 seed area,
6 to 10 seed area, wherever it actually end up. But ESPN and Bobby Marks both applauded the Hornets for what they did this offseason. So it's people are either really high on the Hornets offseason or really low.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go. I'm a little bit lower on them than ESPN and Bobby Marks is. I mean, I think they made some nice moves, but they still need to add shooting. I don't think they really have a rim protector on their roster. Defensively, their bigs probably could use some work. You don't know how Frank Kaminsky's going to come in and play. And then they have good perimeter defenders. I'm just worried about maybe the presence in the paint.
Yeah, they lose Biyombo, who apparently just couldn't catch the ball. That's why they just let him go. They just cut him. Or didn't extend to qualifying, but he's now on to Toronto, and I think he was their best rim protector from last season, and they didn't really fill that need. I mean, Spencer Hawes isn't really a rim protector; he's 7 foot. Frank Kaminsky's 7 foot, but not really a rim protector. So maybe they'll just strive for verticality.
I guess so. That's what they're going to have to go with. And I mean, then for the future, there's really not anything going forward that like excites you. You don't see any big potential in any of the players that they're really going to take that next step. Kind of like what Kyle talked about. I don't think they're going to be able to get into contention with this core unless they're somehow able to trade for a big time player.
Right.
What's the X factor for the Hornets this season?
The X factor, I would say, is health. Al Jefferson and Kemba Walker both were hurt last season. And then Nick Batum, who's coming in, who seems to be a big piece for him, was also hurt last season, like every other Portland Trailblazer was. And so I think health will be an X factor for them, as well as spacing. If you're going to play Nick Batum and Kid Gilchrist at the same time with Al Jefferson in the post, you have to have enough space for Big Al to operate. And Kid Gilchrist his shot is not respected. Nick Batum can knock down some shots, but I wouldn't say he's a knockdown 3-point shooter. So I think shooting will definitely help this team out. And hopefully Jeremy Lamb can fill that role for them.
Yeah, or they'll need one of the bigs like Frank or Spencer Hawes that shoot the 3 ball pretty nicely. I'm going to go with shooting as my X factor. I think the Hornets finished last in 3-point percentage last year and 29th in field goal percentage. If they want to make the playoffs, they're going to need to score baskets because they play some good D, but offensively they're not able to put the ball through the hoop.
Yeah, I forgot about Frank the Tank's ability to be a stretch 4, so I think that'll definitely help. Good find there.
Well, as long as he's able to defend in the NBA, I think they'll be able to give him minutes. But if he really struggles, what's their coach's name?
Steve Clifford.
Steve Clifford. He's a big defensive guy. So,
right.
All right. Best case scenario for the Hornets.
They make the playoffs. I think they could probably sneak in as a 7 or 8. I think they were 7th a couple seasons ago, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to reach that clip again. But their division is going to be a lot tougher this season. Orlando's going to be a lot better. Miami's definitely going to be a lot better. Washington's still there. Atlanta's still there. So they might finish. They might not be able to make the playoffs and finish 4th in the Southeast Division again. But I do think that they, like Kyle said, they're going to be a mediocre team that can probably push 7 or 8.
Yeah, that's probably my best case too. I'm going to probably say 8 seeds, best case for them. Somehow someone's shooting well. Frank the Tank has a good season coming in. They have him as a stretch floor. Kemba takes that next step, and they're healthy all year. I mean, they get some playoff experience, and they probably get knocked out in the first round. What would you say?
The East is going to be a lot better this season.
Yeah, the East is going to be tough. Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, I would say. Well, they still have their pick, their 2016 first rounder. So I think if they're not going to make the playoffs, I think ending up with that 9, 10, or 11 seed in the East and not getting that high lottery pick would be the worst case. And of course, you don't want injuries to rear their ugly head.
True. So I'm going to probably go, worst case scenario is they end up in the lottery and they have to end up with one of these picks and they're not able to draft somebody who actually works out for them. And maybe the guys don't take the next step in their game and they deal with some injuries to Kemba Walker, Al Jefferson, and this year they won't have Mo Williams to clean up when Kemba's out. So that's probably my worst case.
You know, the more I think about it, it's probably best that the Hornets don't get a high draft pick because of their recent history of just drafting terribly. And so maybe they use – I think they can trade Batum in December.
Yeah,
I think that's
right.
I think that's part of the CBA rules where you have to wait a certain amount of time to trade a player once he's traded to you. So maybe they move Batum if it's not working out. Or, I mean, they do have young players like Cody Zeller, which I'm sure someone will take a chance on, Jeremy Lamb. But maybe if their season's not going too well, they end up moving that lottery pick. And maybe they could land someone like a Melo. Of course, he would have to waive his no-trade clause, which I don't think he would for Charlotte. But then again, he is a Jordan brand player, so you never know.
Yeah, Michael could really sway him. They'd have to probably get a 3-way trade just to entice the Knicks a little bit more, I would say. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Their draft history has been pretty bad, so maybe having that high pick isn't good for them. But let's move on to one of our favorite segments, the truth. And today we're going with a bullseye because this team could really use a sharpshooter.
Yeah, it's really going to be needed. Hopefully Frank the Tank can fill that role for them. even Jeremy Lamb, who's shown the ability to shoot, just not really consistently. So that remains to be seen. They did also get Aaron Harrison, which I don't think he'll get much time, but he's shown the ability to
knock down the
shots. Yeah. The best college games that I've seen in the last 3 years, and I'm not a big college basketball fan, but the best ones I've seen have been Kentucky games where he's hit a game winner. And so hopefully he can bring some of that swagger that he had at Kentucky to the NBA.
And to the Hornets, because they could definitely use some swag. But
I think they also have, if I'm not mistaken, they also have Troy Daniels on their roster, who we haven't mentioned, but he was big for Houston a couple seasons ago. He even hit a game-winning shot in the playoffs against Portland, that incredible series that they had a couple seasons ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. He kind of came out of nowhere, and he had some big games. He was knocking down big shots, too.
I think he was a rookie out of VCU that season, and VCU is only 2 hours away from me, so that's always nice to root for a Virginia kid.
But on to League Pass. So Parth's getting League Pass for the first time. Are you going to watch the Hornets this season?
They have one nationally televised game. I don't know if I'll catch that. I'll probably catch the season opener because I know League Pass is free that first week, which is always nice. That's been my experience with League Pass. And they play my Miami Heat, and so I'll definitely watch that game on League Pass. But as far as other games, maybe just the games against Miami, and maybe just I'll tune into some close games because Kemba Walker has proven to be a clutch player, and so it'll be interesting to see how he does in those games. But
yeah, he had some big moments last season. I remember I think he had that crazy and one game winner towards the end. He's hit some big shots, so I probably won't watch the Hornets. Maybe, like you said, just if it's a close game at the end or if I have FanDuel players, but they're pretty boring, and that's why the fans probably get hit in the face with the ball.
Yeah. It's the thing is they're probably boring, so the fans don't pay attention, but they have to pay attention, otherwise they're getting a basketball right to their face.
Exactly.
One game I think that I'll also watch. Shout out to SBnation for this too. December 30th versus the Clippers. Lance Stevenson returns.
He'll try to go crazy
to Buzz City. Yeah, I'll be interested to see the response he gets because he was a complete flop with the Hornets last season.
He's going to try really hard that game. So, Parth, would you rather watch the Hornets or Modern Family?
I am a big Modern Family fan, so Hornets stand no chance. It doesn't matter who they're playing, when they're playing. I'm watching Modern Family.
Sorry, MJ. I know that one hurts.
If MJ plays, I'll watch. But
I think a lot of us would watch if MJ played.
If he's not coming back, Modern Family it is.
They could just suit him up just for shooting alone because they really could use it.
Imagine this. Imagine the Sports Center story this would be. Oh, Michael Jordan's warming up with the team. He might suit up this game. Blah blah blah. Sports Center would lose their minds.
You saw the video, I think, this past summer where he had a shooting contest with Jimmy Butler, and I think he beat him.
Yeah.
So, and Jimmy's a pretty good shooter.
That's what happens when you're the greatest of all time.
Exactly. Thank you guys for listening. And a hint for our next show, they're close to my heart.